Death Cab for Cutie had almost the perfect discography. Their best work is from 1997 to 2015. Hi, my name is Fox McFly. I'm the guy with low no standards, and I let my coworker pick what band I talk about each week. This week, she chose Death Cab for Cutie over Balancing Composure, and let's talk. Let's talk and farm. So the reason that I say Death Cab for Cutie had their best run from 1997 to 2015 is because of one band member, and he played a big part in helping write and produce all of their music throughout those years. Even in their 2015 album, I don't think he was a big part of the writing process, but he was a big part of the production process. So that album turned out really well, even though he didn't have a big hand in the writing process. But let's go ahead. Let's start off 1997. They have a album. 1997 they have an album called You Can Play These Songs with These Chords. It's a very rough album. I would consider it like a demo. They do have some covers on there. It's very like REM, like the Smiths. Like you can tell who their influences were. So I don't really consider that an album. I consider it more of like a demo. Oh, that was a good one. But these are 3 songs that I would recommend off that album, and I will include the Smiths cover because their Smiths cover is incredible. So going from there, they have an album called Something About Airplanes. That one came out a year later, and this is what I would consider their true first album. It's still really raw. The audio and these albums are not very good. I guess they may have been for 1997 and 1998, but it's a little bit rough to listen to. But the sound there is so good. So their first album is Something About Airplanes. They kind of take what they wanted to sound like and just made an album off of it. You got everything ranging from like alt rock to like drone and some post rock and everything in that album. These are 3 songs that I'd recommend off of there. To me, I think this album is worth listening to all the way through. It's a really cool album, and compared to their later stuff, it's a night and day difference. I'll say that much. Still very good album. So going from there is what I would consider my favorite Death Cab album, which is We Have the Facts and We're Voting Yes. I do actually plan on getting the people running on my ankle at some point tattooed. It's just, in my opinion, I think it's one of their coolest sounding albums. It's by far not their best album. There's 2 albums that we'll talk about here in a minute that could go head to head. Day of the Week could change what album is better, and this, like, this is one of those things. It's like those 2 albums, you could argue either point, it's their fan favorites, whatever. But so We Have the Facts and We're Voting Yes is my personal favorite. I think just from start to finish, the sounds that they use and how they go about their writing process. You've got everything from like an upbeat, that was weird, like upbeat songs, but one of the cool things about Death Cab is you can have the most upbeat music and the lyrics are just gonna wreck you. Like emotionally, it's just gonna wreck you. So that's one of the really cool things about this album is like you have these really cool like upbeat moments, but he's just like just telling you the most depressing things. And that's what I really like about the album, because it's like just because you hear something happy doesn't mean it's a happy song. You can even look at Hey Ya by Outkast, which is like an upbeat happy song, but the message is not happy at all. But I digress. But I think from start to finish, this album is, in my opinion, perfect. I like that they up the post-rock elements, like in the song. Hold on. Did we get anything? Like songs like like Scientific Studies and No Joy in Mudville. Let's see what else we got. Little Furry Bugs, 405. Like every song off the album is just so cool sounding. It's so unique to probably a lot of the indie bands that I've heard. So that one goes down in my favorite. These are 3 songs that I could narrow down to recommend instead of just saying the whole album. So going from there is an album that it's kind of a weird one for me, because the first time that I listened to it, I got into Death Cab, I think when their album Plans came out, which was in 05, it's saying. Yeah, the Plans came out in 2005, so that's around when I got into them. I was a young guy. But I still like Death Cab. But so the photo album is kind of a weird one for me, because I went from listening to like that stuff and going back and listening to the old, and I did not like it. Going back, I felt like the photo album is one of those albums that doesn't really flow into each other. I feel like it's like song, kind of like when we talked about Foxing last week with their self-titled. It felt like just song placements rather than, you know, making an album flow. So when I first listened to it, I didn't like it because I really liked Plans. I liked how everything flowed together. Things like Something About Airplanes, things flow. We Are the Facts and We're Voting Yes, things just flow together. Some songs even bleed into the other ones, and just me as a music listener, that's something that I like. I'm an album listening guy. I can't just listen to like single songs off the album. I play it from the start and go all the way through, and I'll change the album when I finish it, regardless of how long my commute is. Come on. Get up there. Get up there. There we go. Oh, cool. So for this album, it doesn't do that. And so I didn't like it at first. There was some songs that oh no. Oh no. No. What if this is Jesus. Can I? Okay. Oh no. What if this is the run? Okay. At least bunker's down. We can check. But yeah, none of the songs really flowed together, so I didn't like it. I just, you know, as a full listening experience, it wasn't for me. But I went back and I listened to it, I want to say about 5 or 6 years ago. And maybe I just got older, but I love this album. Some of my favorite Death Cab songs are off this album. And I even found myself like getting ready for this week of, you know, talking about Death Cab. That was one album that I kept going back to. Oddly enough, it's just things like We Look Like Giants and man, When We Laugh Indoors. It's something about those songs that it really hits in Styrofoam Plates and stuff like that. Maybe it's just me getting older, but it really I felt it more the older that I was. So I do recommend this. Oh Jesus, I do recommend this album. These are 3 songs that I would recommend off this album. Come on. And hopefully you guys like them too. I'm gonna look. Oh my god, we did get a drop. A proactive one. This might be another. No, I don't think the site is Hyperion. I might take this into Gibbed in a little bit. So now that we've talked about their first 4 albums, well, 3, you can argue that we have you could argue you can play these songs with these chords is an album. I argue that it's not, but you know, to each their own. You'll have to listen to it and let me know. But the next 2 albums are going to be their heavy hitters. And by heavy hitters, I don't mean like heavy sounding. It's actually probably their most relaxed work, but I think this is where they finally started to hit their groove, because they put out 2 albums that had the same vibe, but came out a couple years apart. But so the next album is Transatlantacism, and you could argue that this is their best work. And on some days I would agree with you, and on some days I would disagree. But this album is so chill. Every song off this album is a 10 out of 10. Absolutely. It is an insane album. It is so chill. Every song could be a single. Like this is, if you're going to pick a Death Cab album to listen to, I would say start here or start with the one after this one and work your way through, because I don't know how to describe it, man. You have everything from like post-rock elements, alt-rock, contemporary. The track of Transatlantacism takes you through a ride of emotions. It's one of those albums that you could ugly cry to, honestly. What the hell? You could sit in your car and just ugly cry to this album. That's how crazy and deep it is. Dude, get out of here. You've got to be fucking kidding me right now. Alright, what do we get? I don't think we got anything. What's it call it? Nothing. Yeah, this album you can just sit in your car and just ugly cry to, and then just like remember it's like a nostalgia bomb. Like the first time you hear this album, it's gonna provoke emotions that you didn't remember that you had. These are 3 songs that I can narrow down that you should listen to off of this album. And then going from there is their second heavy hitter. And I would say that these are heavy hitters just in their entire discography, not just from 1997 to 2015. I would say from 1997 to 2026. Like these 2 albums are must listen to Death Cab for Cutie albums. And so the next album is Plans. And this is when I got into them. I heard one of their songs. I heard I Will Follow You Into the Dark in a movie called The Invisible. And from there, I just ran with it. I had to find out who sang that song. And at the time, like, the internet wasn't like what it is now. So it took a lot of tracking down, and I finally found it. And I listened to the whole album, and it's insane. That's all it took. I actually own almost every single one of Death Cab for Cutie's albums on vinyl. Plans and Transatlantacisms were like the 2 that I had to buy. Like they're such influential albums. I think the only ones that I'm missing is the photo album, Narrow Stairs, and Codes and Keys. I have Kintsugi. Kintsugi's awesome. Alright, we're not gonna stand there this time. But Plans is another heavy hitting album. Like you could argue that this is their best work of all time, and oh my god, dude. Sorry, I'm gonna clear these guys out real quick. Shit. Good grief. But yeah, every song off this album could be considered a single, a 10 out of 10. It's another album that you can just sit into your car and sad cry to. Especially like Brothers on a Hotel Bed, I'll Follow You Into the Dark, What Sarah Said. Then they have like upbeat songs like Crooked Teeth that just like kind of throw you for a loop. But the whole flow of these albums are insane. Like everything flows together. It feels like an experience. And it's one of those albums that you have to, I don't know, you don't have to necessarily be in the mood to listen to it all the way through. But like I would listen to these 2 from start to finish, no skips, and just see how it makes you feel. I know that's so weird to say, but like when it comes to these 2 albums, I felt like they went more of oh my god, I thought that was a pearl for a second. I got excited. But it felt like they wrote these albums specifically to invoke like some kind of emotions, and it worked. They're crazy. Like I said about Transatlantacism, like they're gonna make you feel nostalgia. Like you're gonna remember things like you thought you forgot. So I can't say enough good things about these albums. On any day of the week, you could argue that one is better than the other, and the next, you could do it by hour. Like, it just really depends. But these are Plans and Transatlantacism are Death Cab for Cutie's strongest work that they've put out. Period. I don't think anybody will question that. And if you say any of their new shit, I know you're fucking lying, okay? Because their new shit is bad. Real bad. So from Plans, the next album after Plans is a album called Narrow Stairs, and this one is more upbeat. So I guess they got tired of writing like sad boy music, but this album is more upbeat. His lyrics are still sad, but you have a really cool, the opening track, Bixby Canyon Bridge, is like a post-rock like soundscaping wonderland. It is insane. It blows my mind every single time I listen to it. And I'm just like, this is probably where I got why I want to write like post-rock and just like these walls of sound from, because it's so freaking cool. And then they go directly into their next track, I Will Possess Your Heart, which is an 8-minute long, like, just like ballad of a song. Like, it's post-rock, it's a little grungy, and then it just lightens up at the very end, and you're just like, what did I just listen to? It's a freaking experience. This whole album is insane. I think aside from We Have the Facts, which would be my all-time favorite Death Cab album, I would say Narrow Stairs has got to be number 2. And I know, I'm not putting Transatlantacism or Plans as my top 2 favorite Death Cab albums. I know, I'm wrong. Those are their best works, hands down. But there's something about We Have the Facts and Narrow Stairs where it's just, it sounds so cool and it's so different and it's so unique. These are 3 songs that I'd recommend off of Narrow Stairs before I just dive into it. But it's like, it's more of a, imagine like the refined sound of Transatlantacism and Plans, and then they just kept that, like, they're like, okay, we know how to refine a sound now, so let's just go all in. We'll throw in some elements of like We Have the Facts. We'll throw in some elements of Transatlantacism, some Plans. So it's all over the board, but they mastered their craft with this. So it creates not like a sad sounding album, but it's a really cool sounding album because of what they learned from releasing the other ones. So again, 3 songs I would recommend off of Narrow Stairs if you don't want to listen to the whole thing. All these albums, I would say I would just listen to them from start to finish. Dude, what are you... I gotta go make cookies, man. What are you... I gotta go make cookies, and you're chilling you're harshing the vibe, man. Get away from me. Get away. You son of a bitch. Okay, I didn't see anything. We're safe. I didn't see anything. So then from Narrow Stairs, we gotta talk about Codes and Keys. I think that fell off real hard with Codes and Keys. I'm not gonna lie, I don't like this album at all. I tried to listen to it today just to see if I could find a few songs that I like. It's weird. And I feel like all the cool shit that they did with Narrow Stairs and every other release, I feel like they're like, let's try to be different. But they tried too hard. They went out and got like vintage pianos, synths, and everything, and they tried to incorporate it. And there's 2 songs I can recommend. These are the 2 these are the 2 songs I like off that album. You'll have to listen to it and let me know if I'm wrong. I've never liked this album since it was released. I just can't. I can't do it. I can't in good conscience recommend this album to listen to unless you want to try and prove me wrong on why it's good. I just don't see it. I feel like I respect they went out of their comfort zone or whatever to try and do it. I just don't think they did it well. What? Dude, my health was full. That blows my mind every time. It's just, I respect them for going out of their comfort zone, but at the same time, it's like you didn't have to. Like, you can still go out of your comfort zone and sticking with your sound, but I think they took a risk, and I don't think it paid off. And this is not an album that I could recommend at all. But after this album is when the announcement of Chris Walla, he was departing the band, and was that a Varuk? And then that's when Kintsugi happened. And Kintsugi, I think he helped with the album, but I don't think he played a big part as he did before. But he did play a part in producing it, so still a little bit of his work in there. Kintsugi's very, very different, but it's very, very different in a good way, a very good way. It's like Ben Gibbard, their vocalist, is also in the Postal Service, if you guys have heard of the Postal Service. So it's almost like he kind of took that inspiration from the Postal Service, even though it had been years since he had done anything, and he incorporated that with their sound. And it just, I don't know, there's something about this album that tickles my brain, especially the song Ingenue. There's something about this album that tickles the brain, and it's not their typical Death Cab sound. And even their vocalist, he changes up his vocals a little bit. He's usually a little bit higher register, like falsetto-y, like really soft voice. And this one, he still does that style of singing, but he went more of a natural, like raw, like talking. And dude, I don't understand these platforms. Jesus Christ. It's Jason Bourne. But he like more of his natural tone of voice, and it really paid off. There was times where me and my friends would listen to it and be like, yeah, we kind of miss Ben's voice, but at the same time, like he does it so well that you can't really be mad. But anyways, these are 3 songs that I would recommend off of Kintsugi if you don't want to listen to it all the way through, which with all of these albums I recommend listening to all the way through. This is going to be hell to edit down. Then from there, Chris Walla, nothing to do with the band. If you want to know more about that drama, you can look it up online. It's actually very crazy, and I feel bad for Chris Walla. Just, the mental gymnastics that he probably had to go through or whatever, and he was just like, I can't do it anymore. So regardless, go look at the story. I'm not going to talk about it here because everyone's going to have a different opinion on it, but I get where he's coming from, where he's just like, I can't do it anymore. So you kind of got to respect it. And then anything after Kintsugi, I can't in good faith recommend to anybody. It feels like they went from being like this really cool like indie band that like kind of pushed the boundaries, made you feel like every album was different, but it was close enough together that all the albums were Death Cab for Cutie. And I would say everything after Kintsugi is just like they went off the rails. They hired like new people to play in the band, and I don't like it. If you guys want to listen to it and tell me, hey, check out this if you like this other stuff, I'm more than willing to listen or check out some songs. But I've tried with every single one of their albums. I can't get into it. A lot of the guitar parts just don't hit the same. It's kind of when I realized with their newer stuff that Chris did a lot of the really cool guitar work, and it's really lacking. Now it's kind of just like, they sound like when you go to your local bar at like an open mic night and they're learning how to play like loosely the song together for the first time. That's kind of the vibe it gives me. It's like they went from being like this huge like indie band, and now they just sound like you would go to a bar and listen to it in the background, which is really sad because they were so good. So let's do one more run, and then I'm going to get out of your hair. This is already longer than I wanted it to be, and it's going to be a nightmare to edit down. So, and I have to go make cookies because I promised my coworker that if we made a goal before I left at 5, then I would make us a sweet treat. And before I left, she pointed and said, you owe me cookies. So I got to make cookies for tomorrow. I don't make the rule. Well, I guess I did make the rule in this instance, but it is what it is. You gotta do what you can to keep morale up, especially in stressful times. Alright. There we go. One shot, everybody knows the rules. This ain't Barstool Sports. Get the fuck out of here. And I'm out of 7-Up. This was actually a more concise, this was better than the one I put on YouTube last night. Bruh. Where are they? Alright, hopefully last run of the night. We got something. Nothing, man. I wonder when we'll get something. But yeah, cool. I think that's what we're going to call it for today. I got to bounce. I got to go make cookies for my coworkers because we met a goal today. So that'll be a lot of fun. But yeah, hopefully you guys like this one. I love you sons of bitches. I will catch you in the next one. Goodbye.